Hi, I'm Harry. Today I'm going to talk about Michael Jordan's influence to the game of basketball. When I was a kid, I played many sports, from track and field, baseball, soccer, and basketball, of course. I was pretty good at these sports, but of course, being as short as I am, I had to pick basketball. I didn't want to play basketball because my family was short, and I knew I would be short too. But every time I would watch a game, I just get excited. And ever since I was young, I was a basketball fan. And there were many who inspired me to keep playing the game, such as Allen Iverson. He was short for the NBA, but still dominated the game. And Vince Carter, one of the greatest dunkers. Kobe Bryant, of course, he's one of the greatest players. But the most influential player in the history of the NBA is, of course, Michael Jordan. The two main points that makes Michael Jordan the most influential player in the history of the NBA are how he changed how to play the game of basketball and inspired many people through basketball. Michael Jordan was the first player to play the game while utilizing his athletic ability, talent, and gracefulness. Before Michael stepped in the NBA, the game was mainly about shooting regular jump shots, regular dunks, and regular layups. But when Michael stepped into the game, he implemented crossovers into jump shots, circus dunks, and jelly layups. In a Sports Illustrated article, it explains how Michael's contribution to playing the new type of basketball as we know today. In the article, it explains Michael's way of shooting, doing his jelly layup, and Michael's winning the dunk contest. And his shots were not regular jump shots. He would always make a move to freeze or fakes his opponent, and those are called crossovers. His layups were beautiful to look at. He would jump as high as he can, and it looks like he's about to dunk it, but fakes his opponent midair by doing a jelly layup, and or switching hands. Also, his dunks were new to the game, and his new dunks, it was called his airness. He made circus dunks popular, such as Rockabye Baby, 360, and the windmill. And let's not forget about his most popular dunk, the free throw line dunk. And since then, basketball players have added varieties into those dunks, such as 360 windmills and reverse Rockabye Babies. With all these new changes, the game that was once looked regular and Michael's new playing style becoming popular, everyone realized that basketball had to change in order for players to grow as an athlete and to become a star. That is why the generation today still looks back to how he plays because they want to improve and one day to become or even better than Michael. And as I was saying, by changing the game, that's how Michael inspired many people through the game of basketball. The generation of basketball players we see today all looked up to Michael Jordan. 3 Hall of Famers that I personally look up to, Allen Iverson, Vince Carter, and Kobe Bryant, were affected by Michael. In an article in Sports Illustrated, it explains that when Allen Iverson finally got into the NBA, he was surprised at how he played against Michael and even crossed him over. And in a Chicago Tribune article, it shows that Vince Carter admits that Michael was the best player in the history. And also, in a CBS article about Kobe Bryant, the greatest Laker of all time, explains how much he idolized Michael. From the moment Kobe saw Michael play, he studied his mannerism in the court throughout his career. That's why Kobe has been able to replicate Michael's moves almost identically. All these amazing athletes knew how great Michael was. Michael's accomplishments in his career is probably the best there is. Average stars that plays basketball are about 20 years, but he played for 15 years, and he accomplished just as much or even more. He won his 6 NBA championships, and his first 3 was a three-peat, which means he won 3 championships in a row. He retired for a year and came back and won another three-peat. No one else in the history of the NBA has been able to do that. Many rising athletes in basketball aspire to do what he has done. Till this day, after years of retirement, Jordan still pulls many athletes to play the game of basketball. Thank you.
All right, Harry, I think you managed to keep it from turning into a value claim by talking about the influence, and I thought that you did a pretty good job on that. There's a good preview of what the supporting structure is, so the start of the speech does what it's supposed to do. On the first point, when you're talking about the influence that he had on the game, the opening quote that you have from Sports Illustrated describes the various kinds of shots that he would take. Some of them are described, some of them you just use the term for, and the idea that other people emulated that, or that had an effect on the way people watched the game, or it inspired people to play the game. You're on the right track with that. I think that that's the way you want to go with that. I think you could use a little bit more information on that. I did think on the second point you do get to that a little bit, because you mentioned Iverson and Carter and Bryant all feeling like they needed to emulate Michael in order to be successful basketball players. I do think that there needs to be some information. Probably you need contemporary research from that period to show how he was perceived at the time, how the game seemed to be stepping up or changing in some way because of his presence in the game. And I think like I said, it's not, I thought you had good information on it, the right kind of thing. I think there needs to be a little bit more follow-up on that, but you went the right direction on that. And then the second point does follow on this point. So it's basically a chain argument that you're going on, and you've got examples of that. You could perhaps, point out that people still argue about who the best player of all time is, and even the people that nowadays point and say somebody currently playing is the best player of all time, that those people say, nope, Michael Jordan's the best player of all time, and if they were that kind of influential and inspirational, then they seem to be different or something along those lines. I think you could do a little bit more at the beginning to suggest that there's some controversy on this, because other players have had influence, other players are widely admired, other players are often said to be the greatest. I have a mildly different opinion than you do about this. Have I expressed that opinion? Did I tell you about that?
No.
The greatest player of all time is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Oh.
All right? And, by the way, remember, I went to USC. So if I think Kareem, that's a good example of reluctant testimony. When Michael Jordan scores his, 40,000th point, I'll say he might be the greatest. Until then, he's okay. I mean, he's pretty good. But they had to change the rules when Kareem was playing. When you change the rules of the game because of the way somebody plays, that's a difference. That's me. But what I'm saying is, there are people who make those kinds of arguments, and I think you could give us a little bit more about that at the beginning. The other thing that I think you miss an opportunity is, I think Michael might have been influential in other ways also off the basketball court in the game of basketball, though, in for instance, the way basketball is marketed, in the way that it is now popularized. You could look at the difference in its popularity before Michael and then after Michael, for instance, to see the kind of influence that it had on the economics of the game. And I think there would be things that you could talk about there that would also have made maybe a good third point to your argument. Not that you're required to have 3 points. The 2 were fine. Good start. Like I said, I'm just trying to think of things that would make it work even better. All right. Thank you.